My parents ambushed me at my 35th birthday dinner in front of 60 relatives and announced they were disowning me, right? There at the table. Can y'all even imagine the gut punch? What happens when the people who raised you decide to erase you in front of the entire family on your own birthday? Before I dive into the whole mess, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for sitting here with me while I spill all this. Please drop in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is over there. I love picturing us all connected like this. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for me. That little red button helps more than you know. It keeps these real heart-to-heart talks coming. Now, let me tell you what really happened. Okay, girls, picture this. I'm Amelia, 35, living in South Austin, Texas, in that cute little bungalow off South Congress that I fought tooth and nail to buy on my own. I'd been grinding for years, waitressing through college at UT, then clawing my way up in digital marketing while paying off student loans. That felt like a second mortgage. My parents, they live up in the hill country. Nice big house in Dripping Springs, the kind with the wraparound porch and views that make tourists jealous. They always acted like my life choices were personal attacks on their perfect image. Moving out at 22 without their blessing. Scandal. Turning down the suitable guy they tried to set me up with from their church group. Disgrace. Choosing a career that didn't come with a corner office and a husband by 30. Straight up family embarrassment. So when the invitation came for my 35th text from mom, all caps, family dinner to celebrate you, special night. Where something nice actually got hopeful. Like maybe after all these years of radio silence, unless they needed something, they were finally softening. Maybe they saw I'd built a decent life, steady job at a growing tech startup downtown, my own health insurance, no small feat these days, a little emergency fund I'm proud of, even a weekly yoga class at the studio on Barden Springs to keep my anxiety from swallowing me whole. I thought this could be the turning point. I picked out my favorite emerald green wrap dress, the one that makes me feel like I can handle anything, did my hair. Put on the silver hoops my best friend Jess gave me for my 30th, and drove up 71 with the windows down, singing off-key to old country playlists. The restaurant was that fancy riverside spot in downtown Austin, the one with the fairy lights and the patio overlooking the Colorado. I walked in smiling, expecting maybe 20 people tops. Instead, the room was packed. 60-plus relatives, cousins I hadn't seen since high school. Aunts who still call me Little Amelia, even though I tower over them now. Uncles in their pressed khakis. The whole extended clan. Whispers rippled the second I stepped through the door. Napkins fluttered like everyone was hiding something. For one stupid, hopeful second, I thought, oh my God, surprise party. My smile got bigger. I even waved like an idiot. Then I saw Mom. She was standing by the head table in her cream pantsuit, arms crossed tight. Dad next to her, jaw set like he was about to deliver bad news at a board meeting. I went in for a hug normal, right? And she went stiff as a board, barely patting my back. Dad didn't even look up from his phone. My stomach flipped. Something was wrong. Very wrong. They pointed me to the center seat. Under this massive crystal chandelier-like, I was on trial, and the light was the spotlight. I sat. Plates clinked. Water glasses got refilled. Everyone was staring, waiting. I tried small talk with my cousin Lauren next to me. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Just kept twisting her napkin into knots. Then Dad stood up, clinked his fork on his glass. The room went graveyard quiet so fast my ears rang. He cleared his throat and said, calm as anything, we're all here tonight. Because Amelia has brought shame on this family for the last time. Effective immediately, we are disowning her. She is no longer our daughter. The words hit like ice water. I froze. My heart slammed so hard I swear the table shook. People gasped, some dramatic, some real. A few aunts put hands over mouths like they were in a soap opera. Mom nodded slowly, like this was just another agenda item checked off. Dad kept going, listing my crimes like he'd rehearsed, moving out without permission, refusing the life they planned, choosing that liberal city career over family values, embarrassing them by staying single and childless at 35. Every word was a knife, and the room was the audience they needed to make it stick. I sat there tasting metal blood from biting the inside of my cheek. Humiliation burned up my neck, but underneath it, something else was rising. Rage. Not loud, screaming rage. Cold, clear rage. Because I suddenly saw it all so clearly. This wasn't about shame. This was about control. They needed witnesses to make me disappear, to erase the daughter who dared live on her own terms. My mind flashed back years of me driving up to Dripping Springs every holiday, cooking their favorite dishes, listening to lectures about how I needed to settle. Damn, me paying their property taxes one year when Dad's business hit a rough patch, never asking to be paid back. Me biting my tongue when they criticized my clothes, my job, my friends. Me apologizing for existing exactly as I was. And now this, on my birthday, in public, like I was some criminal they had to publicly sentence. Dad finished his speech and sat down. The room waited for me to cry, apologize, beg. Some faces looked smug like Aunt Karen, who always said I was too mouthy. Others looked uncomfortable, shifting in their seats, but nobody spoke up. I looked at my hands. They weren't shaking. That surprised me. My chest felt like it was on fire, but my hands were steady. And in that quiet second, something snapped, not dramatic, not loud, just a clean break inside where fury used to live. I reached for the microphone sitting on the table. They'd rented a little sound system for toasts. How ironic. Before anyone could stop me. I stood up slow, felt every eye lock on me, and wrapped my fingers around that mic like it was a lifeline. My voice came out steady, even though my pulse was roaring. Y'all, let me tell you what really happened tonight. A ripple went through the room, confusion, shock. Dad half stood like he was going to grab it back. I didn't flinch. I walked in here thinking maybe after 35 years, my parents were finally going to celebrate me. Instead, I got ambushed. My own mom and dad just announced they're disowning me in front of all of you. On my birthday, I paused, let it land, saw faces change. Lauren's eyes went wide. Cousin Mark looked down at his plate like he wanted to disappear. So here's the truth they don't want you hearing, I continued. The shame they're talking about, it's me paying my own bills. It's me building a career without their approval. It's me setting boundaries when they tried to control every part of my life. It's me refusing to marry someone I didn't love just to make them look good at church. Dad tried to laugh it off, nervous, fake. She's being dramatic. I cut right through him. No, Dad, dramatic is staging a public. Disowning instead of talking to your daughter like a human being. The room went dead silent. Not the heavy silence from before. This was the kind that exposes everything ugly. I kept going, voice stronger now. I paid your property taxes. 1 year when things got tight. Never ask for a thank you. I drove up every Christmas, cooked, cleaned, listened to the lectures, and every time I tried to be myself, it was betrayal. Love that only shows up when you obey. That's not love. That's a leash. I looked straight at Mom. Her face was pale, lips pressed thin. I could almost hear her thoughts. How dare she, after everything we did? But I wasn't done. And here's the part y'all don't know, I said, leaning into the mic. The real reason they're doing this tonight. It's not about me being single. It's about the money. A collective inhale. Eyes darted between me and my parents. See? Last year I found out they'd been dipping into the trust. Grandma left for all the grandkids. They told everyone it was gone, spent on family needs, but I got the statements. They used most of it to cover Dad bad investments and Mom's shopping sprees. And now that I started asking questions quietly, through a lawyer, they're terrified, I'll tell. So they decided to discredit me first. Make me the villain. Disown me publicly so nobody believes a word I say. Dad's face went red. Mom whispered, that's a lie. Is it? I asked the room. Check your own bank alerts. Ask why the trust checks stopped coming. Whispers exploded. Aunt Karen looked horrified. Uncle Ray muttered, I knew something was off with that money talk. I took one last breath. If this is what family looks like, then I accept being disowned. But understand this, you don't get to erase me and still take credit for who I became. I built this life without you, and I'm keeping it. I set the mic down, gentle, deliberate, like closing a book, and walked out. Behind me, chaos. Voices rising, my name being called, chairs scraping. Outside, the Austin night air hit my face warm, full of river smell and distant music from the bars. I stood there under the streetlights, heart pounding, but not from fear. For the first time in 35 years, I felt free. And that was only the beginning. I stood under those Austin streetlights for what felt like forever, just breathing. The river breeze carried laughter from the bars down on Rainy Street, music drifting like nothing had changed. But everything had. My phone started buzzing before I even made it to my car texts. Calls, notifications lighting up the screen like fireworks. I didn't look, not yet. I just got in, locked the doors, and drove. Not home, not straight away. I headed to Zilker Park instead, parked near the trailhead where the bats usually fly out at dusk, even though it was too late for that. I sat on a bench overlooking the water and finally let myself feel it all. At first it was just this wild, shaky laugh bubbling up because what else do you do when your own parents try to erase you in front of the entire family tree? Then the tears came, hot and fast, the kind that leave you gasping. Not sad tears, exactly. More like relief tears mixed with fury. I kept thinking about Mom's face when I mentioned the trust money pail. Lips trembling, eyes darting like she was calculating how much damage control she'd need. Dad's neck turning that angry red he gets when someone calls him out. And the relatives, some of them actually looked guilty, like they'd known something was off but went along anyway. I let myself sit with that for a while. Then I pulled out my phone. First text from cousin Lauren. Amelia, I'm so sorry. I had no idea they were going to do that. I feel sick. Then Aunt Raylene, the one who never liked drama, honey, call me when you're ready. That was wrong. Plain wrong. Even Uncle Ray, Dad's brother, who usually sides with him no matter what, we need to talk about that trust situation. I'm looking into the paperwork now. And then the ones I expected, my parents. Mom first. How could you humiliate us like that? After everything we've done for you? Dad, you've crossed a line. Don't come crying when you need help. I stared at those messages and felt nothing. No guilt. No urge to apologize. Just the quiet, solid knowing that I was done performing for them. I blocked their numbers. Both of them. No second thoughts. Then I blocked the few flying. Monkeys who texted variations of you were too. Harsher family is family. The rest? I left open because some of those apologies felt real. The next few days were a blur. I called in sick to work. First time in years, and just let myself exist. I went to my yoga class on Barton Springs, the one I'd been going to for almost a decade now. The instructor, Maria, saw my face and pulled me aside after. You okay, amiga? I told her the short version. She hugged me tight and said, you just survived a public execution. Give yourself grace. And maybe book a therapy session. Your insurance covers it, right? She was right. I'd been putting off finding a therapist because I'm fine. But that night I opened the app. Searched for someone who specialized in family estrangement and financial abuse. Booked my first session for the following week. Word spread fast in our family's small town. Hill country gossip mixed with Austin tech circles. Turns out, when you drop a bomb like they stole from the grandkids, trust, people start asking questions. Uncle Ray got the statements from the lawyer who handled Grandma's estate, confirmed what I'd suspected. Most of the principal had been withdrawn over the last 5 years for family expenses. That never benefited any of the cousins. Dad's failed real estate flip in Marble, Falls Mom's wellness retreats in Sedona, new kitchen remodel nobody asked for. The grandkids, my cousin's kids, were supposed to get college funds. Instead, they got excuses. By the end of the week, a group text started among the cousins. Lauren kicked it off. Okay, we need to talk about this trust thing. Amelia wasn't lying, Mark chimed in. I'm calling a family meeting. Without aunt and uncle, they invited me. I said no. Not because I was scared, because I didn't need to be there anymore. They could handle their own reckoning. 2 weeks later, the fallout hit harder. Dad's business partner pulled out of a deal after hearing the rumors. Mama's church ladies. Group got awkward. Turns out one of them had a granddaughter who was supposed to get trust money for nursing school. People started distancing themselves. Not dramatically, just quietly. The way small town Texas does when someone's mask slips. And me, I started rebuilding in the quietest, most powerful ways. I joined a women's networking group here in Austin. Mostly other 30-somethings and 40-somethings who'd left toxic families or bad marriages. We meet at coffee shops or wine bars on South First. First meeting. I shared the short version. They didn't gasp or pity me. They nodded, said things like, "Girl, that's financial abuse with extra steps, and you just saved yourself years of therapy by walking out with your head high." One woman, Sarah, a single mom from Round Rock, told me about Bumble BFF. She'd found her whole support circle there after her divorce. I downloaded it that night. Met Jess 2.0. We joke about that for brunch the next weekend. Real talk over megas and mimosas. Financially, I got serious. I'd always been careful, but now I doubled down. Maxed my Roth IRA contributions. Started a separate high-yield savings. Just for Freedom Fund. Talked to a fiduciary advisor. No. More family help that came with strings. And yeah, I cried in the shower some nights, grieving the parents I wished I'd had. But the grief got smaller every day. 3 months later, on a random Tuesday, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside, a check from the Trust My Share. Finally distributed after the cousins pushed the lawyer. Not huge, but enough to pay off the last of my car loan and pad my emergency fund. A note from Lauren. "We made them sign it over. You deserved this years ago. We're sorry it took so long." I framed that note. Not the check, the note. Because it wasn't about the money. It was proof that truth has a way of winning. When you stop letting fear, right? The story. My 35th birthday redo, I threw my own party. Backyard string lights, my favorite tacos from Torchy's, music, laughter. Jess, Maria from yoga, new friends from the networking group, even a couple cousins who'd chosen my side. No chandelier, no microphone, just people who showed up because they wanted to, not because they had to. I turned 36 a few months ago. Quiet dinner with the people who matter. No drama, no ambushes. Just cake and real talk. And Stoity's saying, "You're glowing, girl. What's your secret?" I laughed and said, I finally stopped apologizing for taking up space. So if you're listening and you've ever felt that knot in your stomach when family makes you small, hear me. You don't owe anyone your silence. You don't have to earn love by shrinking. Set the boundary. Grab the mic, literally or figuratively. Protect your peace, your mental health. Join the groups, book the therapy, build the chosen family. Because when you choose yourself, the power they thought they had, it just evaporates. And suddenly, the life you build is yours, fully, joyfully, no strings. If this hit home for you, if it made you think about that one, relationship you've been tiptoeing, around, drop it in the comments. Tell me what you're ready to let go of, or what boundary you're finally setting. I read every single one, and I'm cheering for you from right here in Austin. Thank you for staying with me through all of it. Hit subscribe if these stories give you that little spark of courage. We're in this together, y'all. Love you, mean it. Talk soon.